Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday from Sight and Sound Technology, our monthly session, which happens on the first Wednesday of every month, where we talk about the thing that excites all our passion here in Sight and Sound, and that's technology. My name is Stuart Lawler, and I'm head of digital content here at Sight and Sound. And again, delighted to welcome you all here. With me today is my colleague Sharon Lyons, also from Sight and Sound Technology, and Sharon is manning our chat. And speaking of chat, you can get in touch with us if you wish. If you're on Windows, by pressing Alt and H. If you're on a Mac, by pressing Option and H. And if you're on a mobile app, you can activate the chat option on your app of choice. And we will be keeping an eye on chat. We'll also be keeping an eye on raised hands. If you would like to speak and ask a question later in the session, you can press Alt and Y if you're on Windows. You can press Option and Y if you're on Mac, or activate the raise hand button on the mobile app that you are using, be that on iOS or Android. Now, today's topic has certainly interested lots of people. We've been carrying the hugely popular Hable One device in our portfolio for a couple of years. I think for me anyway, the Hable One has been a really exciting device because we've done all sorts of things with it. Most notably our very popular Hable One challenges, which I think we ran 3 of them over the period of a year and a half. And a really kind of innovative way to allow people to get their hands on a product and try it out and be creative with it. And we love what the people at Hable do. And we particularly love Freek, Hable's co-founder, Freek van Welsenis, who is also at the moment living in Dublin. So we even get to see Freek more, which is great. So I'm delighted to welcome Freek back to Webinar Wednesday to introduce us to the Hable Easy. And there's been lots of curiosity about this product, and we're delighted that today it is entering our portfolio and will be available for purchase from Sight and Sound Technology. So really looking forward to this. We're going to do this hopefully within the hour, and there will be plenty of time for your questions as we go through the session. So Freek, you haven't got an Irish accent just yet. I think it's on the way, but you're very welcome back, and thanks for coming along today.
Thanks for having me, Stuart. What an amazing introduction. I hope I'll live up to it today. Thank
Of
you.
course you will.
Great, great. I'll start by sharing my screen, and then I'll start the presentation quickly. Okay. Yes. So now I should be sharing it. Okay. Well. Thanks everyone. Thanks for being here, and thanks for having me again. I'm super happy to and excited to be again here with Sight and Sound. And today we're going to present the Hable Easy. It's a new product. It's just out, and we're starting now with Sight and Sound as our first partner in the UK, which we're super excited about. So today we're going to cover I'm going to cover a set of different topics. First, I'll do a proper introduction. Even though Stuart already did an amazing introduction, I'll introduce myself again for a bit of background information. I'll talk about the vision behind the Hable Easy. So why did we build the Hable Easy? How did we come up with this idea? Of course, what is the Hable Easy? So I'll discuss what the product is, how it works, what it looks like, in which situations you can use it. We're going to do a live demonstration. We're going to do a live demonstration in a bit of a different way, because with Zoom, it's really hard to share a screen at the same time and listen to the voiceover. But we have a different option that we'll do to go into the live demonstration. I'll talk about some testimonials. So we already have a lot of users, people using the product already, and I'll share their stories, why they are using it and for which situations. Then, of course, we'll cover how you can get your Hable Easy via Sight and Sound. There's an option for a Q&A session, and there will be some final takeaways where we'll be sharing some things about Hable Easy that we haven't shared about it before. Just so some fun things at the end. Yeah, as Stuart said already, if you have any questions at a different point, feel free to just put them in chat. You don't have to wait for the Q&A session, of course. I'm happy to be interrupted at any moment. So that's the content that we'll be discussing today. So first, on the introduction. So I'm Freek, which is a Dutch name. It's a really hard Dutch name because it's written as Freek, and most screen readers will call me Freek. If you call me Freek, don't worry, I'm really used to it at this point. But my name now, if you want to pronounce it right, is Freek. So Drake with the F, Freek. I'm one of the co-founders of Hable. Hable started around 5 years ago already, and it came from a personal vision. So my co-founder's grandfather lost his vision at a later stage in life, and he could no longer use his phone. And we decided to see if we could build something that would help him use his phone in a better way. And at the time, we developed the Hable One for this. And this is a product, yeah, that's been out in the market for a little over 2 years. And it's something we're still very passionate about. So we still love making products that resolve problems and that just make your life a little bit easier. So for me personally, I have a background as I'm an engineer, so I'm an industrial engineer based on my studies. I've done applied mathematics, and currently I don't do anything with my background. As the founder and director of Hable, my work is completely different now. I'm way more involved in things like product design. I actually do a lot of the design myself and a lot of the decisions myself, ranging from marketing to sales to all other sides. And I absolutely love it. It's really an amazing job I have. It's a lot of fun. I talk to users every single day. I learn so much every single day. So it's great to take all those learnings and use them for new products we make. So that's a bit about me. And then about the company, Hable is a startup from the Netherlands. We have a small team. And so, yeah, we make products for people who are blind or vision impaired, mostly focused around the smartphone, like the Hable Easy. But we're also going to develop a few more products that will be coming out in the coming months. So there's a lot of exciting stuff happening behind closed curtains. And today we're going to share a lot about the Hable Easy and the newest innovation. All right, let's dive into the next topic, the vision. So what I mean by the vision is the reason why we developed the Hable Easy. And why I'm putting this at the start is because I think it's a really important part of the Hable Easy, the story of the Hable Easy, and you get a much better understanding why the Hable Easy was developed. So the Hable Easy is not an idea that is coming from myself or from anyone in the team. The Hable Easy was actually an idea from an assistive technology trainer here in the Netherlands. Her name is Jessica, and Jessica was already working with the Hable One, which she would use for clients that know Braille and that want to use a smartphone in a different way. But for Jessica, she told us that many times she was interested in showing the Hable One to someone, but it was simply too difficult because they had no Braille knowledge, or it was just too technical and quite difficult for them to learn to use. But they also were not able to work with the smartphone itself. The gestures on the phone were super frustrating for whatever reason. It can be because for people who lost their vision at a later stage in life, or for someone with dexterity problems, or for someone who just gets frustrated using gestures all day, which is something I think a lot of us would recognize. And she asked us, is there no way to make the Hable One a much more simplified product? So not using Braille, not using a combination of commands, not with so many functions, but a way simpler version of the Hable One. And why don't we call it Hable Easy? So that's where this is all coming from. It was an idea really from a trainer in the field that asked us if there's something we can do here. Of course, that was the first idea. Then a lot more people actually in different forms asked us about something similar. So we said, okay, let's see if there's something we can do and we can design. So what happens next for us is we went through a whole designing process of how do we do this. So I won't go too much in detail here. It's something I'm very passionate about, but maybe can get a bit boring. But there was a whole design process because it's really easy to make a product with tons and tons of functions, but it's actually way harder to make a product with very little functions that still does what you need it to do. It's the art of minimizing, we call it. So the art of letting things go. And that is super difficult because a phone is a really complex system. So you need different gestures, different commands to use that phone. So how do we use a phone in a reduced set of commands? Actually, in only 8 commands. And that's what we set out to do. So we made a lot of different prototypes on a different firmware and different settings where we said, okay, how can we really simplify the usage of a phone? How can we make it so basic that for someone who's completely new to using a smartphone, you can still get started and you can still use basic apps like WhatsApp, like the weather app, or listening to audiobook in a very simplified way, even if you're not so secure with using technology, if you're not certain how to use technology. So that was the goal for us, and I believe we achieved this after a lot of different prototypes, a lot of testing. And then there was another step for us. Okay, how do we now remember which button is which command? For this, we also made a lot of innovations, but I'll go into that a little bit later. So that was the whole process of the vision, how it started. Then we built a lot of different prototypes, and we tested all those different products with a lot of people who were interested in this product. And now we're at a point for 2-3 months where we came up to the final product, which we're very happy about, being used by people for months now, and they're super satisfied. So we're confident it's a really good product now, which I'm very excited about. It really simplifies the way you can use the phone. So we come to the most important question: what is the Hable Easy? Now, if I write it down in a single sentence, how I would explain this is the Hable Easy is a simplified remote control for smartphones and tablets, specifically designed for people who struggle with screen reader gestures. So imagine a TV remote for your TV, but instead for your phone or tablet. That's how you can imagine this device. So first of all, what is the Hable Easy and what does it look like? So if I'm holding a version of the Hable Easy right now in my hand, and it's for people who already know the Hable 1, the hardware is similar to that of the Hable 1. So it's a really small device. I'm holding it next to an iPhone 15, and it's a little bit smaller than the iPhone 15, and it has around the same thickness. So this means it fits easily in your pocket. On one side, I have 8 buttons. There's two bigger buttons, which are black buttons, which are a little bit bigger, and then there's 6 round white buttons. Together, there's 8 buttons, and with these 8 buttons, you can fully control your phone. On the bottom, I have a Hable logo, a white Hable logo. On one of the sides, there's an on and off switch, and on the other side, there's a USB-C port for charging. And then on the back, there's actually nothing because you don't use this side of the device. So that's what it looks like. It's very small and fits right in your pocket. There's also a lanyard strap that you can attach to it, so it doesn't fall out of your hands. That's included. How does it work? Well, the first thing you have to do with the Hable Easy is that you have to connect it to the phone or tablet you're using via Bluetooth. So it uses a Bluetooth connection to control your phone or tablet. And when you're using it, it's important that you have VoiceOver enabled if you're on iPhone, and you have TalkBack enabled if you are on Android. It can actually work without it, but I'll come back to that later in the presentation. So you control your VoiceOver or your TalkBack with the 8 buttons. So every button has a single function on my Hable Easy. So every button only has one function that it uses. If I go over them really quickly, and I'll repeat them a little bit later, all the way at the bottom, so I'm holding the Hable Easy right now with one hand, and I'm touching the button at the bottom. This is the back button. So if I want to go back, I press the back button. Then the row above it, there's 3 white buttons next to each other. All the way on my left is the button to go back, so move backwards, a single swipe backwards. In the middle, there's the double tap, that's the select button. And on the right, there's the swipe forward button. So if you want to swipe forward with a single finger swipe, it's the button on your right. Then again, I have a row of 3 buttons. All the way on my left is the button to access Siri. So if I'm on an iPhone, I'll access Siri. If I'm on Android, I'll access the Google Assistant. In the middle, I have the magic tap. This is also the 2-finger double tap for those who might know it. This is something you can use all the time. So it's to pick up a phone call or to hang up a phone call. It's to play and pause music, play and pause a video. So it's a really easy button for you to access any media control. And then on the right, I have my button to dictate. So if I want to type a message with the Hable Easy, you can use dictation for this. Then all the way at the top, my final button, this is the home button, but we also call it the reset button. So if you're ever in any app or any place and you're lost, just tap the button at the top, and you will go back to the home screen. So you can always reset to the starting position. And those are the 8 buttons and the 8 functions that the Hable Easy has. So it's a really basic way that you can interact fully with your phone. There's a few more things, but I'll get to them. So how we recommend you use it, or how Hable Easy is being used, is to use your phone in a simplified way. So think of things like sending a WhatsApp text message, reading an email, listening to an audiobook or to music. So all of these are All of these are jobs to be done, as we call them. So all of these are things you can fully do with just these 8 commands. Now, let's dive into that a little bit deeper. Here on the screen, I'm showing the Hable Easy one more time, and I'm showing what each button exactly does. So again, at the bottom of the device, I have the back button. Then I have the second row, I have the move backwards, so single swipe backwards, a double tap or confirm button, a button to move forward. And then on my next row, I have the button for Siri or the Google Assistant. I have dictate, and I have the magic tap. And the magic tap, again, is to pick up or hang up a phone call and access the media player. And on the top, I have the home button. So all of these you can access with a single hand. So if I'm holding the device like I'm holding it right now, it's like I'm holding a TV remote, and with my thumb, I'm actually pressing all the different buttons. So it's a really simple way to, even with one hand, access your phone. Now, for some people, it's easier to still use 2 hands for the device. This is also possible. So the Hable Easy has 2 modes. It has a mode for one hand, which most of the people will use. So this is something I also personally would use. But for some people, it's easier to use 2 hands. In that case, you would hold it with the buttons facing away from you, and you press each button, again, only one button at a time to access a function. And the buttons are a little bit on different, or the functions are on different buttons that make a bit more sense in this position. So when I'm holding this for 2 hands, my button all the way on the right would swipe forward, and my button all the way on the left would swipe backwards. So it's a bit more logical. But then again, most people would use the buttons on a single for their single hand usage. Now, that's the basic usage of the Hable Easy. However, we also understand that for some people, it's a little bit easier if they have a few more commands on the device. So these commands are actually not needed, so you don't need them to access different apps, but they make your life a little bit easier, so it goes a little bit faster. So there's a set of commands. In total, there's 6 commands that you can use to make your life a little bit easier if you want to use commands with 2 buttons at the same time. So the commands that we have for this are only for iOS. This is because only iOS supports these commands. Android actually does not support it, so we cannot make it for Android. The first command that we have there is the next page command. So you can swipe directly to a next page on your screen. The other command is, of course, in the previous page. So to swipe between pages on your home screen or in any app where you have to swipe between pages. There's the rotor that you can access. So there's a rotor function that only goes one way. So you only have to go one way with the rotor to access this. You can, for example, use this when you're editing in the text field, or when you want to label an app, or when you want to delete an email or send a new email. That's where you can use the rotor if you want to change the speech of your text, or any of those situations. You can access the rotor, and you can then swipe up and swipe down. So this is to change the menu in the rotor. So these are the extra functions that we provide, which are all under 2 buttons at the same time. I'm not going to name the buttons because that would be hard to remember anyway, but just know that they are also in the Hable Easy. So in total, you have these extra functions that just make your life a little bit easier in terms of using some of the apps. For example, an email, this was a highly requested thing. In email, people want to be able to remove their email. So this has been added there. So in total, there's 8 basic functions. These are functions work on all phones, and you will use all the time for all the basic apps you want to use with your Hable Easy. And then there's a set of a bit more advanced functions that use 2 buttons at the same time for next page, previous page, and a rotor that you can access. So a bit more of the detailed information, or yeah, we like to call it the technical information. The Hable Easy has a 1 to 2 month battery life. So if you charge it once, and you can charge it in around 3 hours, it will last you at least a month. Sometimes it can be even up to 6 months in our own experience. So you have a really long battery life. It uses Bluetooth Low Energy. This is, again, the reason why it has such a long battery life, because we use a newest Bluetooth module. It works with iOS and Android. It works with both tablets and smartphones. For some of the Android phones and sometimes on iPhone, you just have to adjust some settings in your phone if it doesn't work from the start. If it's on standard settings, it always works. If those settings in the phone are different, you have to change them, but we have guides for this that can always help you. So they work on all the different phones. It weighs only 100 grams, so it's around the weight of an egg. It's really small and fits in your pocket. In the box that you get your Hable Easy, there's a manual. So there's a physical manual in the box. There's also an audio manual in the box, which I'll showcase in a minute. And there's digital manuals that will help you use the product. Also, we are now, and I think they're already live, there's a few different videos which are very audio driven, how to use specific apps with Hable Easy. Think of WhatsApp, think of Spotify, think of email. So these are different things that we showcase how to exactly use it. And there's a lifetime of free updates on your Hable Easy. So we don't plan to do many updates on Hable Easy because we want to keep it very simple. But if for any reason an update is needed or we add any functionality, you can access this via the Hable app, which is free on every phone. In the app, you press one button and your Hable Easy is all up to date. So even if the phones change, it will always work for you. Additionally, in the box, which is not there with Hable 1, is where we have free tactile stickers. So because every button only has a single function, it helps if you can remember what each button is without having to actually remember it. So in every box of a Hable Easy, we have 8 stickers that you can put on the buttons based on your mode. So if you have a one-handed mode or a two-handed mode, you can put the stickers on different buttons. That's why they are stickers. And each sticker has a high contrast icon there. And that icon represents the function it uses. So we have a sticker with an arrow that you can put for the arrow to the left and an arrow to the right. There's a sticker with a phone, which is used for Siri and Google Assistant. There's a sticker with a microphone that is used for the dictate button, etc., etc. And they're all tactile, so you can feel these stickers quite well. And we developed them with a designer that makes tactile stickers for people who are visually impaired. So you can actually feel the difference really well. It's really developed for that reason. And if you have some rest vision, you can use the high contrast to easily remember what each function does. So that comes also in the box. The final thing that comes in the box, and I'm only gonna show this really quickly, is that our box for the Hable Easy, to make it as easy as possible, will talk to you when you open it. I'm gonna try to demonstrate, and I'm not sure if my microphone will pick up, but I'm right now opening the Hable Easy box. So. I don't know if you could hear it, but maybe
We heard it. We heard it for a second, Frank, and then
okay.
it stopped.
It's probably
It could be the mic.
Okay, maybe it's the mic, maybe it's because I closed it, but to explain, when you open the box, it's like one of those birthday cards that some of you might know, where if you open a birthday card, it starts speaking to you. It's the same with our packaging for the Hable Easy. So when you open it, it starts speaking to you. It will tell you what the instructions are, the basic instructions of using the Hable Easy and where you can find more information. So it's a bit of a unique touch we try to give to make it even easier to get started with your Hable Easy and to use it. For the full message, you would have to get the Hable Easy. I cannot show the full message here because it's a bit longer. That's how it works. Okay, then we're going into users. So what is the topic of users? Well, I'll describe which people we right now see that mostly use the Hable Easy and for which reason they are using it. So right now we identified three main groups of people who really like the Hable Easy, who are actively using it every single day since they got it. And all of these groups, we have at least a dozen people who are using it or using it daily. So there's a lot more groups than this, but just because we got started right now, these are the main groups we have identified. So the first time and the biggest group, as far as I can tell right now, is people who are lost their vision at a later stage in life and who just struggle with using smartphones or tablets. So these are people who really struggle with the gestures. A double tap can take a long time to learn. A single finger swipe, if the phone is just at an angle, the swipe doesn't work. If your double tap is a little bit slower than it's supposed to, it doesn't register. Then if you have to make more advanced gestures, it gets even more difficult. And this is a process that we see all the time. And this is something we see for a really big group as it is a problem. It's also a problem in motivation. When you're just learning to use a smartphone with a screen reader, it can be extremely demoralizing that everything is so difficult to use. So a Hable Easier comes in because it makes things really simple. Because if you press a button, you will swipe forward or backwards. If you press a button, you will double tap. So for a big group here, it just makes it a lot easier to do the basic things they want to do with their smartphones. So that's definitely the biggest group. Seniors who struggle right now using their phone with gestures and so the screen reader. The second group, which we see, is people with dexterity issues. So I say with a motor impairment next to a visual impairment. One of the stories, I have someone here in the Netherlands, it's called Ronald, and Ronald only has one hand with which he struggles to control fully. So he cannot make the gestures on the phone. It's really difficult for him. But for him, it is possible to tap different sets of buttons one at a time. So for him, he could never use a phone before. He was always struggling with this. He also couldn't work with a normal keyboard because the keys are too small and too close to each other. So here with the Hable Easy, it's a lot simpler for him, and he can now control his entire phone with the 8 buttons there. So that's another group that we see. So motor impairments or dexterity issues is the biggest group there. And the final group is kind of, I would say, a bigger group that's outside of this. So this is really anyone that is frustrated with smartphone gestures. So this can also be in certain scenarios. Some of the people I know that used to use Hable 1 use a Hable Easy when they're outside. So if you're walking outside and you're already walking with your guide dog or with your cane, you don't always have access to 2 hands, but you might need to quickly look up something on your phone. But you struggle with using the gestures. So then a Hable Easy mode can really help you because you can quickly look something up, do your basic functionality on the phone with just a single hand, and you don't have to use the gestures there. So there's also where the Hable Easy can come in for a larger group when you just struggle with using different gestures. Okay. So the live demo, so this section is a little bit more difficult. So what I'll do is I'll explain some of the things that you can do with the Hable Easy paired with your phone. Because the voiceover sound doesn't register on Zoom, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for me to do it live. We will have a bunch of different videos of how to do different things. So I'll be sure that we can share them afterwards. I'll be sure to share that with Stuart as well. But if you have questions about using specific applications or anything, please feel free to ask them as well in the Q&A, because we can go in a bit more in a deep dive. But some of the basic things we always teach right now, when you have the Hable Easy, the first thing you would do is navigating on the home screen. So this is the first, of course, to start. This is to scroll forward, scroll backwards, double tap, and tap the home button. Only 4 of the functions you need to get to any app on the home screen. So if you want to select any of the apps, you do this by swiping forwards or swiping backwards to a different app, the button to double tap, and if I want to exit an app again, I just press the home button. Now, if my app is on the second screen, you can always use the extra functionality to go to the next page, so with 2 buttons at the same time. But if you say, I only need to use a couple of apps, we actually advise you just put your apps on a single screen on the home screen. This is especially for seniors and people who only use the basic functionality of their phone. This is a lot easier for you. It makes it a lot faster. That's swiping on your home screen. Making a phone call, it's actually, you only need the same set of functions. So if your phone app is on your home screen, I can navigate there by swiping forwards or backwards and then double tapping to select. And in there, I can scroll through my contact list to select a contact and call them by just tapping the double tap several times for each other. And if I want to pick up the phone, if I'm getting a call in, I just press the magic tap. So that's only a single button that you need to press. If I want to hang up the call, I press the magic tap again to hang up. So for these kind of this kind of functionality, you only really need the basic functions. You can also use it to send an email or read an email. If you want to send an email, your text has to be dictated, so you have to use the dictate function to type. That's an important part of it. There's no other way to type on your Hable Easy apart from scrolling through the keyboard and selecting each letter after each other. This is possible, but it's really slow, so we recommend you to dictate there. Listening to audiobooks or listening to music, it's all possible with these basic set of commands. A nice thing there is if you're listening to an audiobook or if you're listening to music and you just quickly want to pause, you just press the magic tab wherever you are on your phone to pause or to play again. So these are some of the basic things we would recommend you to do with Hable Easy. Again, if you have questions about specific apps, just let me know and I can go into a bit more detail afterwards in the live demo, which is a little bit difficult. Then I wanted to talk about some testimonials, so examples from our users. So here I want to highlight just 2 stories. One is from Ruben. Ruben lost his vision in a car accident where he also ended up in a wheelchair. And Ruben is someone who never actually was able to use a phone because of this. So because he's in a wheelchair and he only can use one arm, and on that arm his mobility is very limited. And he also cannot use his speech. So speech was, you cannot work with Siri or Google Assistant. So it was very hard for him to do anything with a phone. He actually didn't even have a phone, and working with any of the specialized phones, he could still not work with it because the buttons are just simply too small there. So with him, we tried to work with the Hable Easy. We actually put it and attached it to his wheelchair, on the arm, on the side where his arm, he can use it. And actually with the Hable Easy, with these buttons, he can actually do a lot of different things on the phone. So he now is able to listen to all the messages he's getting in. He does type with the very slow function of typing one button at a time. So he does also reply to messages there. He listens to audiobooks, he listens to music. I think he even uses the Envision AI app with it all the time because he has his camera focused forward. So he uses a lot of different functionality, and that's something he could never do before. So he never had access to any of the phones. So for him, it's really changed from 0 to 100, which is why it's one of my favorite stories. So that's one of the stories, and another story is actually from a grandma of one of my best friends who lost her vision at a later stage in life, and she could also not use her phone anymore. We gave her a Hable Easy and 1 hour of training. And last week she sent me a message because she could pay a tikkie. It's a Dutch thing, but it's a way to make a payment request and pay it yourself. So she could, for the first time for her in 20 years, pay a payment herself, a digital payment with the Hable Easy, which was a great achievement for her. But she uses it to call people. She's not on WhatsApp, but call people, listen to audiobooks, etc. So those are two stories for me that I think say a lot about the product. So it's really for you to go from 0 to 100 in terms of if you cannot work with a phone at all. This might be the way to do it. Then the next part, I'll let this Stuart or Sharon answer. This is how to get your Hable Easy via sight and sound. Um,
Okay, thanks, Frank. And oh, sorry, I thought I was muted. Apologies. Great to have the testimonials as well, and great presentation as always, Frank. And I know there's questions coming in chat, etc. as well. So anybody who wants to have a look at the Hable Easy, or if you want to get one, is available on the Sight and Sound website. If you do a search for Hable or Hable Easy, and Sharon has just popped it in the chat, which is extra helpful. So you have a link. 202 British pounds 98 is the price, including VAT. So, or of course, give us a shout if you have specific questions that maybe come to mind after this session. Are you ready, Frank, to take some questions at this point?
yes.
Yeah, okay. So I know we have some raised hands. We'll go to the raised hands in a moment. I just want to address two emails that we received in advance of the webinar. So we had a question from Roger Frake, who is asking about, I suppose it's in relation to the Hable app, and there is an option in the Hable app called experimental updates, and he was asking which update in there can he download to offer the functionality of both Hable One and Hable Easy on the one device, because he understands that's possible.
Yes, indeed. So that is possible. Why we don't advertise it too much is just because most of the time the people who use Hable One are very different to people who use the Hable Easy. But you can use both on a similar device. So that's the reason why we don't normally put it on the device, but it is possible. If you want to use that, so if you want to use both, the update you need to have in the Hable app is called Language Pack 3. That's the one you need to download. And then on your Hable One, you can switch between the Hable Easy and the Hable One via the Hable menu. In the Hable menu, hold the E for Hable One mode and hold button 5-6 for Hable Easy mode. But it's also on our website, so if you want to let know it later, that's how you can do that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Frank. And we got a question from Jackie Brown, our friend at the RNIB, who was asking, is it still the case that if you're running a Hable on more than one device that you need to disconnect from one before connecting to another? I think she was trying to run an iOS device and then an Android device. Is that still the case?
So it is still the case. So we recommend you to do this, to only connect with one device at the same time. There is an update available that works with multiple devices at the same time, but if you want it, you have to ask us. The reason why is because it leads to a lot of questions, because it's definitely a lot more technical to know how to work with that protocol. So we recommend you do one device at a time, disconnect the other. If you really have a situation where you want to switch quickly between devices, let us know and we'll let you know how to do that.
Okay, so get in touch with Hable or contact us and we'll happily put you in touch if you're interested in that update. Okay, thanks, Freek. I know there are raised hands and we will go to raised hands in a sec. Sharon, is there anything you'd like to draw our attention to? I know there's a bit of a lively chat.
Yes, Stuart. We have some questions for Frank. Also, actually, I think you just answered one. So, how many devices can the Hable Easy or Hable One be paired with? So, the recommendation is one. But if you really want to use it to switch easily between more than one, then speak to
Yeah.
Frank.
Yes.
Um,
It's
yeah,
just because we know it just leads to so many support questions. It can be quite
right,
difficult. So yeah, that's why we do it.
right, right. Cool. Evelyn says, on the latest software, can you still double tap the home button to get to the app switcher?
Yes, this is still possible as well to do.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not mentioning these things because we want to focus on simplicity, but yes, you can do that.
That works. And then there's a question about the rotor change, the accessing the rotor option, from Mervyn, and he says, how do you select the one once you are in that particular rotor? Is that
Yes. So you select your mode on the road or with one of the settings where you move through it only one way. When you're in your, let's say your menu, let's say the menu you're hovering over an email and you want to do actions, then you can flick up or down, which is there until you find your action. Let's say delete email. If you hear delete email and you want to actually do that action, you just press the double tap button. So the button that's there to double tap to confirm it. So that's how you use the final step in it.
so you press the rotor button, you use the kind of arrows, and then
Yes,
you press a double tap.
exactly.
Yeah, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Great, great. And hold on. There's more. There's more. Um, uh, are the advanced features able to be used single-handedly? That's from Jonathan.
Yes, they are. Yeah. So the way we use, so I didn't mention which buttons they are, but how we selected the combination of buttons is that you can access them together with your thumb. So your thumb can press both of them at the same time. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and Evelyn also asks about what settings do you recommend for iOS 18 in order to use the on-screen keyboard? But I think you were saying that, yes, is that a Hable 1 question or is that a Hable Easy question?
No, so you can indeed, so the on-screen keyboard. So if you want to type yourself with the Hable Easy, so if you don't want to dictate, you need to show the on-screen keyboard. So there's if you press two buttons at the same time, it will show the on-screen keyboard or hide it.
Right.
If you show it, then you can actually go through the menu, so through the settings, to select each letter at once and then type that way. In answering the question, like which iOS 18 settings you recommend for this, yeah, there's a setting, it's hidden in the iPhone settings list, which says start on-screen keyboard if there's a Bluetooth device connected. So we recommend you to turn that on or off based on what you want. So that's the setting in iOS 18. If you want to know specifically where to find it, let me know and we will find it for you. Yeah, where to do that.
Yeah, and I guess that's only available on the iPhone,
Yes,
is it?
that's only
Yeah.
available. I think something similar exists on Android, but we just
Mhm.
have to, yeah.
I think that's all the chat for now. Stuart, if you wanted to
Brilliant.
see if
Thanks,
anybody
Sharon.
wants to ask live.
Yeah, appreciate that. Okay, so we have a few raised hands. We're going to start with Lindsay Potts and then we'll be going to Debbie Gillespie. So Lindsay, you should be able to unmute yourself, I hope, and we would love to hear your question for Frake. Just going to try and send an unmute request again, Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I hadn't realised I put my hand up. I don't have a question, but it looks
Oh, that's okay. No problem. No problem at all. Perfect. But thank you very much. Okay, sorry, I've just lost my participants list. Right, let me go to Debbie. Debbie Gillespie, you should be able to unmute yourself. Debbie, I don't know if we can hear you. Just try and send an unmute request. Sometimes Zoom does funny things. You might have to respond to the request to unmute. We might come back to Debbie and we'll go to Tracy Musso. So Tracy, you should be able to unmute yourself now if you'd like to ask your question.
Hi, Frank. I have a question about the rotor. The Android phone doesn't have a rotor. What happens when you use that function with an Android phone?
Yes, so right now that function just doesn't work at all on Android. But we are putting something similar to the kind of the Android rotor that we know of. So we're putting in something similar for Android on there right now. But right now it doesn't do anything if you use it on Android. But that's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was Debbie. Sorry. Thank you, Debbie. Okay.
Sorry, Stuart. That was Tracy.
Tracy, Debbie.
I'm ready if you are. If you're not,
go
that's
for it.
okay.
Go for it. Absolutely.
I guess my question is, can I still get the Hable one and not the Easy? And I guess the main difference, I was about 5 minutes late. So is the Hable Easy and the Hable one simply the same device controlled by software?
So the hardware is the same. And it has a different firmware. So you can switch between the two versions via the app if you want to. But if you get the Hable Easy, there's also tactile stickers that you get with it. So high contrast stickers, and there's a audio manual in the box. So there's a few things that are a little bit different. And of course, in the right mode already.
Thank you for the info in the chat. And okay, so I guess the biggest difference is the on-screen keyboard on the Hable one. Is that correct?
No, so the difference is in the Hable Easy, each function or each button has a single function. So
right,
very simplified way, whereas on the Hable one, you use combinations of Braille. So that's the main difference. It's a really simple.
Oh, right. That's right. I took that for granted. Sorry about that, Frank. Okay, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Debbie. Thanks a million. Okay, now let's go to Margaret Roman, and then I'm going to go to Jonathan Abro, who's a regular Webinar Wednesday attendee. So Margaret, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi,
Hi, Margaret.
Can you hear me?
We can.
This is a wonderful presentation and very, very exciting with the new product. I was just wondering, can it be used with the iPad as well, or is it truly just the phone? Thank you.
Yes, it also works with the iPad. So
Yay.
iPad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Brilliant. And that's perfect. And now let's go to Jonathan. Jonathan, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi, Stuart.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Good. Good to hear you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you. And Frank, thank you. That's brilliant. Your devices are amazing. I know that you said that it's even more advanced than the advanced functions to have multiple devices paired at the same time. But let's say, for example, I teach some people, and one thing I was thinking about is I know someone who has an iPhone, an Android phone, and an iPad, and they do use them all regularly, interchanging. How many devices in this advanced mode of pairing can you have them, and can they be cross-platform?
Yes. So you for the advanced mode, you have 3 pairings, and they are across platform, and it remembers your settings per channel. So if you use an iPhone, an Android phone, and let's say an iPad, per channel it will remember what settings it's in. So you only have to switch between the different modes or between different channels to switch which device you use. So if you want to use that, just let us know, and we will give you some description of how you can do this.
And the switching channels is via a combination of keys as well.
Yes, exactly. So it's all done on your Hable.
Fantastic, brilliant. Well, very well done to you and your team. I think it's brilliant what you've done.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thanks.
Thanks, Stuart.
Thanks, Jonathan. Pleasure as always. Great to see you again. Okay, now we're going to go to James Bazzoni. So James, hopefully you can unmute yourself. Hiya, James.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Jolly good. I just asked a question. Thank you for the demonstration, by the way. Thank you, Freak. Unlocking the iPhone. If you use a passcode, it balls out the speaker. You don't really want to reveal your passcode to everybody. Is there a way around that problem?
So if you use the passcode, it depends. It depends on the phone and the settings you use. But you can type out the passcode with your Hable Easy by going through the numbers and then selecting it. Dependent on most of the phones, it will not speak out those numbers, so it will not blast out what you're setting. But that does make it harder to type your password. So it depends a little bit how you want to use it. With Hable Easy, generally most people just don't use the passcode with numbers to unlock it, because it's just too difficult there. So yeah, it's this is highly dependent on how you use your phone. How you do this.
Thank you. It was an iPhone I was using, but thank you for the advice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. Appreciate the question. Okay, that is all our raised hands for now. If you would like to ask a question, there's still a bit of time. You can raise your hand, Alt and Y if you're on a computer, if you're on a PC rather, or Option and Y if you're on a Mac, or activate the raise hand button. And I see some other participants raising hands. I will come back to those in a sec. Sharon, just before we do that, is there anything else in chat you wanted to flag for us?
There's people answering each other's questions in the
Great,
chat.
that's
It's
what we
great.
like in Webinar Wednesday, yeah. Very
Um,
supportive audience.
and there's just a question from Nolan about could you purchase the Hable one and then switch it to Hable Easy? I think you mentioned that, didn't you, Craig? Yeah,
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
it is possible. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Sharon. I'm going to go back to the hands, and Tracy has her hand up again. So Tracy, hope you can unmute yourself. Hi, Tracy, we have you.
Hi. My question is the design. So the Hable Easy, is it the same device as in the new device? And when, so it's kind of two questions. I understand the layout from what you said, but if you're going to use it two-handed, do you turn it sideways so it's similar to the Hable one?
Yes. So yes, if you use it with two hands, you would use it similar to the Hable one, or you can place it on the table in front of you. So that's also a way to how you can use it. And indeed, the design is the same. So the hardware is similar. It's just a different firmware on there of how you would use it. Yeah.
So if you felt that it would be pretty well the same as the Hable one.
Yes. So if you're already a Hable one user, so if you already use the Hable one itself and you work with the Braille commands, we don't generally recommend to go to a Hable Easy because it's a way simpler version. So if you can already work with Hable one, I don't recommend going to Hable Easy. But if the Hable
No, I just wanted to know for because I run an Android group and I just want to know because we've had a couple seniors who have problems, and I think this is a really good way for them to use their phone more efficiently.
Yeah. And then you can try it out on your Hable one. So you can switch the firmware to let them try this on the Hable.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your question, Tracy. Okay, and we have a question from Adele. Adele, you should be able to unmute yourself, and we'd be happy to hear your question. Just send you another unmute in case that didn't get through. So you should be able to unmute yourself, Adele. And if you can't, we'll come back to you again before the end.
Now unmuted.
I think we have you. We have you.
Salut à tous.
How are you?
Ça va?
Good. Do you have a question?
Oui, if we analyze a little bit, this item from Hable, from Hable, excuse me, from Netherlands. Is like a controller for an iPhone, iOS or whatever, or anything relating, if I understand.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. You can see
Like a
that.
controller on a video game console.
It's not for video game. No, it's not really something you can use for the video game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But thanks for your question, Adele. Appreciate that very much. Now we're going to go to Nerman Hasek. Nerman, you should be able to unmute yourself, and we'd be happy to hear your question.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hope
How
you
are
can
you?
hear me. Hi, I'm great. Thanks. Yeah. Hi, Freek. So you said that eventually the functions that are not on Android yet are going to come. Like, are you going to implement all of them? Because I know that there's like going from page to page, advancing and going back one page. I mean that's something that TalkBack has as a gesture, and also the other, like, we don't have a rotor, but we have this up-down thing that's kind of similar, where we can choose what we want to manipulate or what setting to change. So are there plans to implement all of these, or is there any way we'll see that in future updates?
Yes. So indeed, the kind of thing that's similar to the rotor. So now that's coming. That's certainly there in the future update. The next page and previous page, that is an Android gesture, but it's not a keyboard gesture on Android right now, at least not on all Android phones. So that's there. We're waiting for it to be released across Android phones, and then it will 100% be there, because we want to keep it very similar between iOS and Android.
Yeah, uniform and simple. Yeah, I understand
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So and these updates, they will just come in the Hable Easy app. Yeah, will be very easy to add for you. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Nerman. Appreciate the question. Okay, we're going to go to Terry-Ann in the US of A. Terry, you should be able to unmute yourself, and we'll love to hear from you. We have you, Terry.
Yes, good. Hello. I was going to say good morning, but it's good afternoon for many of you. I just want to point out, thank you for your demonstration, but I want to point out that I was talking with a friend yesterday. We both have Hable 1 devices, and we use them. However, I think that sometimes it might be useful for those of us even who use the Hable 1s to, there might be instances as a Hable 1 user when we would want to use the Hable Easy, like outdoors, or, if you're traveling maybe and you have your cane or your guide dog in one hand, and you might, there might be instances where you'd use the Hable Easy. So I just don't want to cavalierly dismiss it for those people who are Hable 1 users.
I think it's a really good comment. And so if you are someone who wants to use both, so just indeed for when you're outside to use Hable Easy, there is a way to use both on the same firmware. So you don't have to switch every time in the app. But if you use Language Pack 3, which you can download in the app, you can switch between them via your Hable menu. So that is a way to make it a little bit easier for you to quickly switch between the two. Yeah, so that's what I would recommend to use.
And so if you have a Hable 1 device already, there's absolutely no reason to have to then purchase an Hable Easy device.
Exactly. And we deliberately did that because we don't want people to have to get another device if they can already do it with the one they have. So
right.
It's
okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stuart.
Thanks,
and
Terry.
Sharon.
Always lovely to hear you. So, and thank you for getting up early to attend our sessions. I know it's early, a little bit earlier in the US, so we appreciate you coming along. Okay. So we're in the last couple of minutes of the session. I do have a raised hand from Margaret. Margaret, I don't know if you, because I know you, I think you were the lady who'd put your hand up in error the last time, but just in case you did, or you didn't rather, just give you the opportunity if you want to ask a question. You can do so now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Whoops. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I'll just be quick. Is there a representation in the U.S. and who would that be? And does anyone happen to know my math isn't so good, the cost in dollars? Or I'll just put down the pound cost and do the math. Thank you.
So in the US, AT Guys is a distributor that sells the product in the US. So I would recommend that. I think somewhere in the chat, someone had linked that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the chat.
Yeah, and
AT
they're
Guys, yeah.
they're a great company as well. Great guys who run that. So
yes.
Get in touch with them.
atguys.com. Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody else actually asked, sorry, Stuart, just asked if is there a way to get it with the talking manual and the stickers in the US? I assume it all comes in the same.
Yes, it should all be the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to get that separately, so if I'm not sure if the question is like to get it separately. I don't know if that's available yet in the US. I would have to check. I don't know if it might be already with AT Guys where you can get the sticker separately, but I don't know from the top of my head. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so the AT Guys are the people to speak to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Okie doke. Thank you, Sharon, for all the monitoring of the chat. And thank you to everybody for your questions. I do not see any more raised hands. So at 2 minutes to 3, we've been very prompt today.
I have a final takeaway, Stuart. Maybe if I can end on it.
Absolutely, Frank.
I'll do this in 1 minute, but it's something like that.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things. So we don't want to make things too complicated, but one thing that might be interesting for you or for someone around you is that you can actually use a Hable Easy without screen readers. So without VoiceOver or TalkBack. So if you are curious about it, just let us know and we can explain how to do this. But it can be quite interesting for example, people who use the zoom function a lot, but struggle with doing a gesture for the zoom function. You can actually put that on your Hable Easy. So you can zoom with your Hable Easy and move around the screen. And that's like one of the use cases. And there's other things where you can, if you still use the phone without a screen reader, but you struggle with some of the gestures, some of the apps opening, you can do all of that with your Hable Easy. So just so you know, if you want to do that, that's possible. And the final takeaway I have is that we won't be adding a lot of new things on the Hable Easy because we want to keep it so simple. But one thing that we will add very, very soon is the WhatsApp audio messages. So if you want to send an audio message on WhatsApp, you need to use a very specific gesture for this. But you can very soon do this with your Hable Easy as well, because this has been highly requested from people who just prefer to work with audio messages anyway. So soon you will be able to do this with your Hable. Those are my final takeaways.
No, and they're actually really important and sounds like could be really important. And actually, Frank, just to your first point, I think I know quite a few maybe older people who are fully sighted, but who certainly, maybe struggle a little bit sometimes with touchscreens. So I think it's a great point that you make. So thank you everybody for attending this month's Webinar Wednesday. I should have said this at the start and I had even written it down and forgot, but we don't have a session in May. There's no Webinar Wednesday in May. We will be back in June. On the 4th of June, and look forward to catching up with everybody then for more technology. Frank, it's always great fun to have you at these sessions. You always do a great presentation, and I know how committed you are to all that you do for the community. So thank you so much for everything that you and your company and all your colleagues in the Netherlands are doing as well to bring this technology to us. And we're delighted at Sight and Sound to be partnering with you. Sharon, thanks a million as always, and thank you to everybody for attending today. And we look forward to seeing you all in 2 months' time. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Stuart. Thanks, Frank.